Hello, this is Caroline, and welcome to another edition of my podcast for King Salama Safaris. If you're planning on taking a safari to Kenya, this is one of my favorite places to go, especially if it's your first time taking a safari. It's called Naboisho Conservancy. It's a private conservancy that borders the Maasai Mara National Reserve in Kenya. All the guides are well trained, so they know the wildlife. If you ask them a question about birds, they know the birds. They know the lion prides in the area. They know how to spot wildlife you would probably miss because they know how to look at the small details. And the other thing I like is that they're all from the Maasai community. So you'll get an authentic cultural interaction with them. Today I'm talking with one of my favorite guys that I worked with in Naboisho Conservancy. His name is Saruni Kaelo, and he is calling me all the way from Kenya. Just bear in mind that Saruni is calling me long distance and he is in the middle of the African bush. So the sound quality might go in and out. It might have some background noise. It might have some interference. Hello, Saruni. How are you today?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Saruni, can you tell us what is so special about Naboisho Conservancy?
So the most important thing and special thing about Naboisho Conservancy, it's a conservancy that is rich with wildlife. So it's got plenty of wildlife, big cats, and other animals like the grazing animals, like herbivores, that's impala, wildebeest, zebras, and all other species. Mm-hmm. So another thing that makes Naboisho Conservancy to be special, it's a conservancy with few camps. That's basically 7 camps in the conservancy, and that could actually give you a nice view of having good time with wildlife. So they have a rule whereby it's only 4 vehicles in a sighting, and that also makes it to be good for the animals that you are watching it, like probably lions or leopards or cheetahs. So that could actually give the space for the animals. So that's one thing that makes it more different with the other conservancy. Another special thing about the Naboisho Conservancy is that it has different types of landscape.
And when I'm in Naboisho, I always notice there's a high density of lions. Is that something that's in a lot of areas there, or just?
Yeah, so we do have so many lions inside the Naboisho Conservancy, probably the highest density of lions in all of Africa, because it has like 3 big prides, and they're actually multiplying year by year. So you find that at least when you're in Naboisho, you can't miss a lion. It's something that maybe a guide can promise you that, like, it's 100% sure that you'd see a lion.
Definitely, yes. Huge prides as well.
Yeah.
I've been going to Naboisho Conservancy since 2012, and it was actually created in 2010 when over 500 Maasai landowners came together and leased out their land. This is great for them because they get income, but not only that, recently they just renewed their lease on the conservancy, so that's great news. Can you tell me a bit more about this, Saruni?
Yes. We have like roughly 500 and maybe 50 landowners. Mm-hmm. And they all came up together. So Naboisho basically means coming up together. And this is a community that decided to come up together and form a land for wildlife. So they all combined their land and formed Naboisho. That's now the conservancy. So it's a 50,000 hectares land. And it's actually one of the biggest conservancy, among the biggest conservancy in the whole part of Mara.
Tourism seems to be very important to places like Naboisho because it gives the Maasai landowners an income when people visit, but not only that, it gives wildlife a home.
So you asked about the importance of wildlife to be in the conservancies?
Yes.
And actually, because Naboisho is not fenced, animals can actually go outside, to the community lands. And at times they go and bring trouble. So they have a conflict with the Maasai people outside the conservancy. So if they bring the trouble, like they have the conflict, sometimes they end up being killed, or sometimes they end up killing people. So the reason why the conservancies are there is basically to protect.
When you go on a game drive, you get particularly close to the wildlife. How safe is that for the guests?
So it's very much safe because basically before you become a guide, you need to undergo through a training. So you learn about the animals' behavior, how they behave, probably when you're close to them or the time, they are distressed. and the time you need to approach them, and the time you need to go really far away from them. So before you approach an animal, you need first to read their moods and how they look like, like how they are responding to you when you're coming close to them. So, for instance, if you're getting close to a lion and the lion is like, just lying down, sleeping lion, and probably, you drive close to him, you open his eyes and then go back to bed, that means I'm okay for you being close to where you are. So basically, before you approach an animal, we make sure that the animal is okay for you to be there, and that's the time we drive close to it, but not always all the time. And they show you that is the zone that you should be, not coming close to me.
And can you tell me some of the most exciting wildlife encounters you've seen with guests?
So one of my highlight encounters that I've seen with the guest is one early morning drive, and we found this one male lion with a dead giraffe.
Oh.
He was actually enjoying breakfast. And around him, there were like 50 or 100 hyenas that were trying to, have some food from the giraffe. So the male lion was trying to keep them off. So it was late time for him to gain sleep. So you can imagine like over 100 hyenas all trying to come in and have the food. So you hear all those noise, the lions roar, and the lions trying to call for his friends to come and help. So it was just spectacular, and the light was just amazing. So that was one of my highlights. And another day, there was a time we saw a zebra giving birth, and when my guests were expecting to have, the newly born fowl, the fowl of a zebra, then there was this male zebra who came in and started killing the baby fowl. It was a happy at the beginning, but later on turned to be a sad ending, with the reason why was the male zebra was doing that. So eventually, the reason why is because the stallion, because we call it a stallion, was trying to take over the harem of females. So what they do is that they normally kill the young fowls first so that they can sire their own offsprings. So that was basically what was happening there. And I found it was very unique, and rarely do you get such a sighting like that. So those are my two main scenarios or game drives that I've seen some different stuff. So other things are like, countless huntings of cheetah, of which you need to be very patient.
Can you also tell me what the difference is between the Mara National Reserve and the conservancies?
So the difference between the game reserve and the game reserve is much bigger than the conservancy. It's like 8 times bigger than Naboisho. That is 1510 kilometers square. And Naboisho is 250 kilometers square, I think so. And again, the game reserve is much more open. It's one landscape that is just an open plain. And the conservancy is basically, you might find a conservancy with the open plain, but a lot of bushes. And again, the game reserve, I've got a lot of vehicles in, maybe in terms of viewing game life. But in the conservancy, you have like very few vehicles watching an animal. So the game reserve is owned by the local county government, but the conservancies are owned by the local people around. So those are one main big reasons for the difference between the conservancy and the game reserve.
So how do your guests react on game drives? What is typical for the guests? How are they excited?
So for the first comers, normally they're very much happy to have them driven around. And think of seeing for the first time an animal like a pumbaa, that's a warthog. And probably, you're in a very new environment. Everything is exciting for you. Even the fly that is coming to your nose, everything is so exciting for you. And think of, the terrain of the land and the way we drive through, hard terrain, crossing through the lagers, and how we do it. It's something that most of the guests will be so much happy, and they wonder how we do that. And all the bushes that we have around, they are very much different from where you are. Think of some spiky bushes, and everything is just exciting for them. And most of the time, they expect to see a male lion close to them, a leopard that is close to them, anything. Think of a cheetah that is chasing something, because they know everyone knows like a cheetah is the fastest animal in the world. So they want to see, like, think of visiting a hippo pool for the first time. You see hippos in the water. So everybody is always like, I want to see this. And you have a lot of expectation when you're out in a drive. Thank you.
Thank you. What can guests expect on safari? Coming from America, Canada?
Yeah, so the most important thing that you expect from your safari, because I cannot guarantee you of, like 100% you'll see a leopard, 100% you'll see a hunting of a cheetah, but at least you expect to interact well with the people around you and probably learn more about the Maasai culture and the custodians of wildlife, how they have been interacting well with the wildlife, and so much more about about the living standard of people around you, and probably see a lot of wildlife. Thompson, hippopotamus, think of wildebeest, zebras, of which they're all around here. And probably those are the animals so you probably think of a guarantee that you see around here.
Thank you.
So you expect to see. Yeah.
So Saruni, can you tell me a bit about the Maasai culture, your lifestyle?
Yeah. So the Maasai culture, it's actually one of the unique culture, I think, in the whole part of the world. We are still the people who are still keeping their own culture. So they live in one big community, and they all love each other, like friends and brothers, but they're all together as one. So Maasai used to be pastoralist, like moving from one spot to another. So they form what we call a boma. A boma is something. It's a circle. It's like a crowd. So they all live together with their small families, and think of brothers. It's just like an extended family, all of them. So they stay together as one family. So if you probably love to visit the Maasai village, that's where you basically know how they live inside there. And it will be very much interesting to see their lifestyle and how how they live together, and how they welcome people.
So for anyone thinking of traveling to Kenya, what is a good time to travel?
So the best time to travel to Kenya is kind of all year round, especially to Mara, because if you are a visitor who loves to be in a quiet place, think of something like February, January, March. April is kind of a rainy season, so most of the time you won't see much about wildlife. But in the month of May, that's the time now, it's still quiet. But June is normally busy because people are thinking of wildebeest coming into Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
So most guests will be around. And in the month of June up to maybe August, that is still like a little bit busy. So many vehicles around, and the tourists, everybody's trying to aim in for the crossing of wildebeest.
Which is amazing.
So, so it's something cool for you to come and have a look. It's something that we call it the seventh wonder of the world.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky enough to come and have a look at the crossing, then of course that will be a lifetime for you. It is something that it will change your life.
So Saruni, how can people find you if they want to get in contact with you?
So I do have my social media, that's Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So my Facebook page is Saruni Kaelo.
And can you spell that?
SARUNI.
Mm-hmm.
Then a space KAELO.
Thank you so
Saruni
much.
Kaelo.
Beautiful. Thank you. I want to say goodbye and thank you to Saruni. I think we got disconnected. But if anyone has any questions or concerns or comments, please feel free to contact me. Have